Thank you for joining us. Welcome to LumioseStation.
What's up, LumioseStation? Welcome back to another episode of the Pokémon DataDex with me, TheOneIntegral. In today's episode, we are going to be covering Glaceon, because last week I asked you guys which Pokemon you wanted to see, Glaceon or Avalugg, two Pokemon that are related to glaciers, because Glaceon and Avalugg is a glacier, and you guys chose Glaceon in the end, so that's who we're going to be covering, or what we're going to be covering today. However, we do have to choose Pokemon for next week, remember guys, so I figured we'd do a fire type next week. Going to have ice and fire, guys, so the choice is between two fully evolved starter Pokemon. We have Typhlosion and Infernape. Which Pokemon do you want to see covered next week in DataDex? If you want to see Typhlosion, type down below in the comment section Typhlosion. If you want to see Infernape, type down below saying Infernape. The one with the most votes will be covered next week. But for now, let's have a look at Glaceon. So Glaceon is a pure ice type and it's number 471 in the National Pokédex, being an evolution or an evolution of Eevee that was introduced in Generation 4. It is the fresh snow Pokemon, even though it's sort of ice based. It is snow's related to ice, you guys get the idea. And it stands at 2 foot 7 inches or 0.8 meters tall, so it's not too tall, and it weighs 57.1 pounds or 25.9 kilograms. So again, it's fairly light as well. It's not this huge Pokemon. Looking at the egg and breeding stuff, it's in the field egg group because of just Eevee in general, and the male-female split is actually 87.5% male, 12.5% female, as with every single evolution, because that's what Eevee's rate is, so you're more likely to get a male Glaceon than a female one. Evolution chain wise, as I mentioned, it evolves from Eevee, and it does this upon leveling up near an ice rock, so depending on the generation or the game, you know, obviously in Gen 4 in Diamond Pearl Platinum, it's going to be up on one of the routes near Snow Points, I think. Yes, that's I can't remember them all, but yes, get the idea. Near an ice rock, just level it up and you'll get yourself a Glaceon. But I think if it can evolve into an Espeon or Umbreon, if it's at max happiness, it might do that before the other, I'm not sure. So just be careful, you're not going to get yourself an Espeon or an Umbreon rather than a Glaceon. So let's look at the base stats for Glaceon. They're not brilliant, okay? Straight off the bat. Health points are 65, which is fairly low. Attack is 60 and fairly low. Defense is 110, which isn't too bad. You know, that's a fairly high defense stat. Its special attack is 130, which is pretty high. You know, this is the best stat it has here, special attack at 130. Then we go down to special defense at 95 and then speed at 65. So it's a slow Pokemon. It doesn't have much bulk. Its defense is the only good defense thing, you know. And its special attack is better than physical attack, but they're not too high, so it's not going to be fast Pokemon, it's not going to be too bulky especially, and even physically, because if we look at the type effectiveness in a minute, all of its stuff it's weak to are physical moves generally, so you're going to suffer a bit of a dent there, you know, because if you're weak to special moves only, or special types only, or generally special types only, you're going to be doing a bit better, because even though your special defense is low, they're not going to be doing much damage, and it will. You guys get the idea. So, I don't know where I'm going with this, but you guys get the idea there. It's not a great Pokemon in terms of base stats. Ability-wise, for Glaceon, it has two available, one basic and one hidden, because obviously that's what Eevee's got. Its basic ability is Snow Cloak, which boosts the evasion in a hailstorm, which means you're likely to avoid moves. However, remember, in Smogon rules, I do believe Snow Cloak is banned, because evasivenesses and stuff like that are not allowed to be, allowed to lower accuracy, not allowed to raise your evasiveness. Obviously, depending if you're just on Battle Spot or something, of course you can use Snow Cloak if you want to be that guy. But obviously you have to remember, you have to have Hailstorm, but generally because we're looking at sort of Smogon stuff, we're not going to be looking at using Snow Cloak. Its hidden ability is Ice Body, which means it gradually regains health points when it's hailing, which is basically an extra leftovers at the end of the turn. So if you can get Glaceon out with a Ice Body and it's hailing, good job. If not, you're not going to get any benefit from it, but, is it worth running Hail on Glaceon, is what you think. If you're going to run Glaceon with a Ice Body, you might want to think about having an Abomasnow, or, something like that can actually get the Hail up and allow you to make use of it, rather than having to waste Hail on another of your Pokemon and having to do it that way. But that's the basic information for Glaceon there. If we move on to its typing, it's a pure Ice type. Simply put, the Ice type is a terrible type, especially on its own, okay? It resists one move, which is Ice. Or one type, rather, which is Ice. So it resists itself. It doesn't resist anything else at all. It's weak to 4 moves, which are Fire, Fighting, Rock, and Steel, and it takes neutral from all of the rest. Pure Ice is a terrible type, if we're honest. because look at those weaknesses. You have 4 weaknesses. You don't resist anything. You take neutral from anything else. So it doesn't matter if they haven't got a super effective move against you. They can still hit you with any of those neutral moves and do decent damage still. So really it's nothing for them to worry about. Ice type isn't brilliant, and even with that 110 defense, you're not going to be taking very many moves because you can't resist them. So yeah, the typing isn't great. The base stats aren't amazing. Now let's look at the move pool, and here it gets even worse. There aren't many moves here. First one is Baton Pass, which can be learnt at level 33 as an EV. So you have to level EV to level 33, learn Baton Pass, and then evolve. If you evolve into Glaceon beforehand, you won't be able to get yourself a Baton Pass, so you'll be stuck. Then after that, Baton Pass isn't useful on the Glaceon, or it is useful, but it's not as useful. There's nothing to raise your stats and pass on, basically. So there's not much reason why you'd Baton Pass, apart from maybe just to take some damage and stop the Pokemon you're switching to taking damage. That'd be the only reason, really. But then the next move we have level 45 or TM14, we have Blizzard, which is a powerful ice type move. It's going to do a lot of damage. It is going to have 100% accuracy in Hail, so if you are running a Hail team and you're going to make use of your ice body like that, Blizzard is a good choice, because if you're in the Hail, you're going to have 100% accuracy, and it's stronger than any other ice type move you can muster with yourself. So Blizzard's powerful. However, without Hail, you're not going to hit 100% of the time, so you have to be careful using that. Then we have TM10 Hidden Power. Which Hidden Powers are best to use? We're looking at the types rather you're weak to. Fire, Fighting, Rock, Steel. You can go for a Ground, which is going to eliminate Fire, Rock, and Steel. You can hit 3 of the 4 types you're weak to, so a Ground type move would be very good there. It would do a lot of damage. Or you can go for something else entirely, like Psychic maybe. It's going to deal with fighting types, however Steel is going to resist it. You just have to choose a hidden power that's going to work best. I would recommend Ground. It's just whatever you can come up with the IVs, is it not? Then, TM13 Ice Beam is a stable, solid, ice type move. It's going to do decent damage, stuff like that. There's not much to say for Ice Beam there, really. Less powerful than Blizzard, but it is going to have decent or better accuracy, so it's a much more reliable move to use. So if you're not running a Hail team and you're just using Glaceon for the hell of it, run Ice Beam over Blizzard is probably the better idea. As you can tell, we're looking at special moves here. We're not looking at any physical moves because Glaceon's physical attack is terrible, and even though its special attack is better, its special move pool, as we're saying here, is not brilliant. The next move we have is TM30 Shadow Ball, so that's a decent move. Ghost type moves can hit things for decent damage most of the time, but that's really it, And then the last one we have here is TM79 Frost Breath, which is another ice type move. Does less damage, but it does have it doesn't have a higher chance. It critical hits every single time it hits it. It doesn't have 100% accuracy, I don't think, though. So you have to watch it. But it might be useful if you're against a Pokemon that's setting up on you, because obviously crits bypass any stat changes. So that's a good idea. Or, stat increases, rather. Not if your special attack is lowered, it doesn't bypass that, but it does bypass any special defense increases they might have. So that'd be the only reason to run Frost Breath, really. So it's a move pool. Not brilliant. We have 3 ice type moves here. A ghost type move, Hidden Power, and then just Baton Pass. So it really is not looking good for Glaceon here. It really is not. If we look at the set, yes, one single set for Glaceon. That's it. We're not going to be able to get much out of it. The moveset is going to be Ice Beam, Hidden Power, Shadow Ball, and Baton Pass or Frost Breath. You could run Blizzard over Ice Beam if you're going for the you're going to have Hail up. Or you're simply planning to only use Glaceon when the Hail is up, so you can make use of it. But you can do that, whatever. Ability Ice Body, because as we said, Snow Cloak is generally not allowed. Nature is a modest one, because we're just going to boost our special attack as much as possible, because that's our only good thing about us, basically. And the how that I'm going to have is Choice Specs, just to, again, beef up that special attack as much as possible. EVs, we're putting maximum special attack again, maximum speed, and the rest in special defense. Maximum speed just so we can get a bit fast. There's no point in putting in health points, you're not bulky enough. There's no point in putting in, obviously, physical attack, no. Defense, your defense is already pretty high, so you don't really need to put too much in it. We are putting the rest in special defense, though, just to give that a bit more bulk, because it is our lower stats defensively. But generally, how would you use the move? Your choice specs, so you go in, you use the move that's best. Obviously, if it's blizzarding or hailing, rather, you go in and you just blizzard. Choice specs blizzard is going to do a lot of damage with that 130 base special attack and everything. But I guess choice specs almost semi-remedies the fact that you haven't got a really good move pool, because you're not going to be switching between moves. You're going to be going in, you're going to be choosing a move, and you're just going to be using it. Baton Pass is there. Baton Pass does work with choice specs, not too well though. It's in case if you switch in and maybe they switch at the same time, and then you think, whoa, I don't want to be here, let's Baton Pass out, something along those lines there. Or you can run Frost Breath for those cases where they're setting up on you, or indeed you could run something else in the last. There are some other moves that Glaceon learns that you could try there, but really nothing much is going to work. It's a very underwhelming Pokemon, I guess. Whereas some evolutions, like Vaporeon, very good. Glaceon, however, is just doesn't take the biscuit, really. Bad base stats, bad typing, bad move pool. Generally, it's just bad. Might be useful every now and again in the lower tiers, but generally, you are not going to have too much luck with Glaceon, I'm afraid to say. But that really sums it up for this week's episode of the Pokemon DataDex. There's not much else to say because Glaceon, as I mentioned, is not that great. So be sure to vote for next week's Pokemon. First up, though, either Typhlosion or Infernape. Comment that down below and let me know which Pokemon you want to see next week, and the one that gets most votes will be covered in the next episode of the Pokemon DataDex. But for now, I'll be seeing you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, my friends.